Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 4 of the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. My name is Aaron Machbitz. I'm the owner of Champions Adjust, which is a sports performance brand. And we have apparel, we have a podcast, we have this sports show. But most importantly, our company is about a mindset program, which is mostly for youth athletes. So if you're a young athlete or you're a parent of a young athlete, go to our website, champsadjust.com, and you'll find numerous resources and online courses for our mindset program, or you can reach out directly to me and we can get that going. So let's jump right into episode 4 of the Sports Talk Show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the first thing I'm going to address, just as straightforward as possible, is Caitlin Clark. We absolutely love Caitlin Clark on this show. I think she's amazing. And I'm just going to be as straightforward as possible with this. Caitlin Clark absolutely deserved the honor of Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. There's been no singular player that has done more for a sport, which she did for women's basketball in 2024, or maybe ever. So Caitlin Clark is amazing. I wish her all the best as she navigates everything that she's going through, but 100% deserving of the honor of Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. And I can't wait to see what she does, elevate everything that she's a part of. So cheers to Caitlin Clark. Now, let's move on past that into college football. Big news coming out of college football this week. One was Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was hired as the coach at North Carolina, an absolute legendary school. Just hired a legendary coach to a 5-year deal, kind of like a big FU to the NFL, like one of the greatest, if not the greatest, coach in NFL history. He's got 6 Super Bowl wins. Didn't have a job this year, did a lot of commercials and commentating. So cool for Bill Belichick, but just agreed to a 5-year deal with North Carolina, an absolute legendary school, like I said, where Michael Jordan went. So he said he's always wanted to coach college. Now he looks forward to building that program in Chapel Hill. So I think some really cool stuff happened there. If I was a player, I would really want to go to North Carolina, only if I'm serious about my football career and how I want to be built as a man. We all know Bill Belichick is going to coach you hard, very hard. And so if I want to elevate myself, if I want to be in a team atmosphere, if I want to win, if I want to become the best version of myself on and off the football field, then I'm going to want to go play for Coach Bill Belichick. And I want to go to North Carolina, which is a great school. They got great sponsorships, cool colors, right? All of that stuff. But really, what an elevated thing for college football. And you'd love to see Bill Belichick just not want his career to end, right? He could obviously ended his career, 6 Super Bowl wins, one of the best coaches of all time, but wants to keep going, wants to keep improving young men, and wants to change the dynamic of college football to be about football, not about all this NIL bullshit, money shit that's happening, but about football, and mostly about the real thing that college football is about elevating men to be their best selves, whether that's going to the NFL or to go into the real world. But more news coming out of college football. My favorite subject to talk about when it comes to college football is the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Let's go, baby. They won. They beat Incarnate Ward, handled them, dominated them. Now the Jackrabbits move on to the semifinals against our biggest rival, which is North Dakota State. So I'm pumped about that game. It's going to be awesome. It's in the Fargo Dome. That's sweet. It's coming on December 21st. Big game. Can't wait to watch it. Hopefully the Jackrabbits take that one. They lost in the middle of the year, and the Dakota Parker was like a 13-9 game. A lot of defense, a lot of hard-nosed football. So you love to see that. But the winner advances. The winner advances to the FCS National Championship, with which the South Dakota State Jackrabbits have won back-to-back years. They're going for the three-peat, just like the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. And that's cool because that game is like 10 minutes from my house in Frisco, Texas, on January 6th. So we move into that phase of the semifinals of the FCS. And then the same time next week, I think the FBS playoffs get started. So that'll be interesting to watch. And one thing that I learned about South Dakota State Jackrabbits was that their quarterback, who's like the winningest quarterback in FCS history, Art Panowski, after he won his second national championship last year with South Dakota State Jackrabbits, he was offered some very large NIL deals to go to some Big 10 and Big 12 schools, but he turned it down because he wanted to finish his career as a Jackrabbit, because the culture that Jimmy Rogers and company have created at South Dakota State University is just unbelievable. Want to win. They play for each other. They love each other. And it's a beautiful atmosphere. Mark Gronowski, unlike a lot of kids these days, wanted to finish his career in the place he started, wanted to commit to something that was bigger than himself. And that's really special. And then you look at his draft stock, like NFL teams really look at a lot of intangibles when it comes to the quarterback position. Of course, as a quarterback, you have to have the physical tools and capabilities, but we know that most players who play in the NFL have the physical capability. But do they have the intangible stuff? Do they have the mental fortitude and mental toughness to play in the NFL? And a lot of that is experience. Gronowski has a ton of experience in playoffs, in big games, playing long seasons, right? And he's part of a winning culture. Like it's just something about a person or a quarterback that's part of a winning culture that just knows how to win. And you want to bring that into the NFL because you want a winning team in the NFL. And so he could be a sleeper. He could be a sleeper as an NFL pick in the 2025 draft. I mean, obviously, if he wins another national championship, that's 3 in a row for him. The dude's a winner. He has a very high completion percentage. He can get it done with his legs. He's obviously a team leader, build a culture. He knows how to fit into a system, like all of these things. And of course, like one of the truest things about his character is that he turned down a 7-figure deal to stick with SDSU because he's committed to his team and he cares about something that's bigger than himself. And I think that's the most important character trait about him, which potentially lead him to be something in the NFL. I have no idea, but I'm just thinking, on the top of my head here about Mark Gronowski and the beautiful work he's done at South Dakota State. Probably the greatest South Dakota State football player of all time, especially if he wins another national championship. But he's in the last 3, right? He tore his ACL in the first quarter of that last one. Then I don't know what happened the year after that. And then they went back to back. Now he's going for a third. It's like the winningest quarterback in FCS history, like a lot of accolades and records and a lot of intangibles that go with it. So cheers to Mark Gronowski, and let's fucking go South Dakota State. And I just need to mention this before we move on to Travis Hunter and the Heisman Trophy Award. Shout out to my buddy Joel Sands. Love Joel Sands. He's an alumni of Arizona State University, and he picks Arizona State University to win the whole thing. So could happen. Cheers to Joel. If Arizona State wins the whole thing, I'm only happy because I love Joel. Joel's awesome. But I picked Georgia and Oregon to be in the national championship. Joel's going with Arizona State. And if they do make it, it's because their running back carried them there. That dude's an absolute freaking beast. He was like 6th, I think, in Heisman Trophy voting or something like that. But cheers, shout out Joel, and let's go. Now we move on to sort of the contentious topic of the week in terms of college football is Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter, he won the Heisman, but he also won the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year awards. And I think that's just not good for college football because it just can't turn into a popularity contest, right? Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year are the best offensive and the best defensive player of the year. Travis Hunter won both of those, and he went the Heisman. Like, you look at Offensive Player of the Year, it should have been Boise State's absolute stud star running back, Ashton Jeanty, right? Who's predicted to go to the Cowboys as the number 12 pick in the draft. Also, speaking of him, he needs 132 yards in the college football playoff to break Barry Sanders' FBS single season rushing record. That's the Offensive Player of the Year because he's the best offensive player in college football. And then you think of the Defensive Player of the Year. Like, yes, Travis Hunter is obviously a very talented football player and an amazing defensive player, but the best defensive player of the year should go to the best defensive player, which is probably Caleb Downs or Abdul Carter. And so it doesn't really matter if I agree or not with him winning the Heisman Trophy because he's not the best offensive player and he's not the best defensive player, but arguably he is the best overall player. And I can agree with that. I can accept that fact that he is arguably the best overall player, which is what the Heisman goes to. And cheers to him. Like from everything I've heard and read and seen about him, he seems like an absolute stand-up guy, high character, high value. I think that's why Deion Sanders wants to be around him and promotes him so much, along with Deion's son. Like, those guys are high value, high character guys. Cheers, couldn't be happy for him. We're just speaking of facts here that I don't think it's really good for college football for it to become a popularity contest. So him winning the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year awards, kind of whack, but I can agree or at least accept the fact that he wins the Heisman because he is one of the best overall players in the country, like doing it on both sides of the football is impressive, no matter what sport you play. Shohei Ohtani in baseball, Travis Hunter in college football. Like anytime you go both sides of the ball, defense and offense, it's very impressive. And if you do it at a very high level, which he did all season long, it's extremely impressive. So cheers to him for winning the Heisman. That's an incredible award. And again, everything I've heard and read about him and seen him on interviews and podcasts, super high character guy. Like shout out to him. Like it's ultra impressive. He's a freak athlete, and it's awesome. Hope he continues to dominate like that in the NFL because that's just cool for sports and sports fans like me. And then thinking of Travis Hunter, we think about the 2010 NFL mock draft. I talked about Genti, potentially going with the Cowboys as their new running back. Let's just talk about the top 10 picks potentially as a mock draft in the 2025 NFL draft. We have number 1 pick goes the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're assumed to pick Travis Hunter, right? At this point in the process, Hunter is only 2025 prospect considered to be a surefire top 5 pick. He won the Heisman, so that makes sense. And there's a lot of differing opinions about Hunter's ability to be a two-way player in the NFL, but everyone agrees if anyone can do it, it's him. So he might do it, right, with his athletic traits, ball instincts, focused mindset. Like that's what I was talking about with his character traits. He has like obviously NFL playmaker written all over, regardless of how it's used. So he's potentially going 1. And then number 2, potentially you'll have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Cam Ward out of Miami. And then number 3, the New York Giants might select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. You might have 2 Colorado guys going in the top 3. That's pretty cool, right? It's one of the most polarizing draft classes we've ever seen. Sanders is arguably the most polarizing figure or polarizing prospect, along with Travis Hunter. And some NFL teams have rated him as an adequate NFL starter, while other teams are way more optimistic about it. I don't know how the Giants feel, but maybe their head coach, Brian Doble, can get the most out of Sanders in the NFL, right? He has to be fit into a good system. We see that makes a lot of difference for quarterbacks, as you see Caleb Williams and Bryce Young come out of the draft, high-touted prospects, really good college careers, and they sort of just fumble in the NFL because of the systems they're in. And it makes a lot of difference. So I'm pumped to see what Sanders and Hunter can do in the NFL. Hopefully it goes amazing. We'd love to see highly touted prospects just absolutely get it done at the next level. So cool for that. Number 4 potentially is New England Patriots are selecting Will Campbell out of LSU. And then 5, Carolina Panthers selecting what I think was the defensive player of the year, Abdul Carter at Penn State. The New York Jets need a whole team, but they might select Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Tennessee Titans might get also Cale Williams out of Georgia. And then Browns might select Mason Graham out of Michigan. Bengals, Will Johnson out of Michigan. And the New Orleans Saints rounding up the top 10 with Tutoria McMillan out of Arizona. Sorry for messing up the name there, but cheers to you for potentially maybe going in the top 10. That's freaking amazing. And then I mentioned Boise State running back potentially going 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. So that sort of rounds out your most elite picks for the 2025 NFL mock draft, with Sanders and Hunter and Ward sort of being the most polarizing figures of the draft. Heisman wins the award, or Hunter wins the Heisman. He might win the Heisman and go number 1 as a two-way guy. Sanders is very polarizing. Some people are optimistic, some people are not. And then you have Cam Ward, might be the best quarterback in the draft class from Miami, potentially going to go top 3 as well. And so that's very, very, very interesting. And then I wanted to just first mention something else about the NFL before I dive into Major League Baseball. I don't have a lot to say about the NFL this week. There's tons of other shows that do that, and it's not something that I'm super interested in outside of talking about Joe Burrow incessantly. But I'll break down some playoff stuff as we get to it. Week 15 has been interesting. We got the big game today between Lions and Bills, potentially a Super Bowl matchup, which I think will be the Super Bowl. But the most interesting story coming out of the NFL this week was on Thursday Night Football when Deondre Campbell refused to play and walked off the side. Refused to play, walked off the side. You heard George Kittle talk about it, selfish behavior. That was a must-win game for the 49ers. They didn't get it done. They did not get it done at all. And Campbell refused to play, walked off the side. The 49ers are a franchise that are built off mental toughness. I mean, you got Ronnie Lott, Steve Young, Fred Warner, like Mooney Ward, all of these guys who played through a lot of stuff, played through getting shot, played through, losing a child. All of these things are about mental toughness and fortitude, and the 49ers are built on that sort of franchise. They've won a lot of Super Bowls and won a lot of playoff games because of the culture they built in San Francisco with that, playing for each other, getting in the trenches, linking arms, working through that stuff together. That's the power of a great team. That's the power of a great franchise. When you build great relationships, you want to go to war together, and that's what football is all about. And Campbell refused to play, walking off the sideline is one of the most selfish things I've ever seen from a professional athlete because of his bruised ego. Like, if you want to be great at something, you can be a little selfish. But when you're part of a team, you're playing something for something that's bigger than you, for a shared mission, for a shared vision, to win a Super Bowl, to be the best team in the world. And you sometimes have to do unselfish things to create that culture that makes a winning product. And he is not part of that. It's one of the craziest, most selfish things I've ever seen from a professional athlete. And I know he's getting talked to a lot from his teammates and coaches about all this stuff, but he's done. He's done. No one's going to want to play with that guy because he refused to play and he walked off the field. That's giving up on your team. And nobody wants to be next to a guy. Nobody wants to link arms with a guy who's going to give up on their team in the middle of the game, in a must-win game, when you have to win, you want to even think about getting into the playoffs. And so that's an interesting thing. So if you're a young athlete watching this, it's not about you. It's about your team. It's about what you can do for your team. It's about executing your role to the best of your ability, no matter what that role is. If you do that, that's your mental state. I'm going to execute my role to the best of my ability. No matter what that job is, you're going to keep getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And people are going to fucking love playing because they know that, okay, that guy, yes, he executes his role no matter what it is. He owns it, he dominates it, and he does it to the best of his ability, no matter what that role is. If that's your mindset, everyone's going to want to play with you. Everyone's going to want to give you opportunities, and everyone's going to be one around you, and people are going to act the same way, and that's what creates leadership, and that's what creates a winning culture for your team to get the job done in those big moments. That's who you want to aspire to be. Obviously, getting the prerequisite skills and all of that stuff in line first, but having that sort of mentality as part of a team atmosphere is it's undeniable and it's unbeatable. That's what we should all strive to be as people, part of a relationship societal culture as well, not just inside of a sport. But that's the last thing I'll touch on when it comes to the NFL. And now let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into Major League Baseball. We'll start with the Juan Soto first. This Juan Soto deal, dude, is absolutely nuts. 15 years, $765 million contract, one that will pay him $75 million upfront. Already got that. Played a game for the Mets yet, but gets $75 million upfront, and an additional nearly $47 million over the next 9 months. You would think with that contract, you wouldn't really need anything for free, but but then you really wouldn't understand the perks of being a star, I guess, the benefits that come from being a sought-after free agent, number one in this year's meetings, or the ability to exact leverage in the most delicate of negotiations. And that's exactly what Juan Soto did. And speaking of this $765 million contract, like A-Rod and Barry Bonds would be upwards of $1 billion. Like, they're both way better baseball players than Juan Soto. It is what it is. Like, Barry Bonds was a 5-tool player. He could play defense, he could run, he had speed, he could hit for power, he could hit for average, and he got on base. 5-tool player. Juan Soto can only hit. He can only hit. Plays okay defense, and he's not a good base runner because he's not fast and he doesn't steal. He gets on base a lot, yeah, and he's a great hitter. He got $765 million. A-Rod and Barry Bonds are what you like. They are the cornerstone, the foundation of 5-tool players. They would have got $1 billion. They would have got $1 billion. And I saw Gary Sheffield's son tweet that out. I agree with him because he's a smart guy. And cheers to him for all the coverage he does for the Yankees. And then so Soto also has, speaking of this crazy contract and all the perks, right? Soto also has an opt-out after 2029. If he does, the Mets can trump the opt-out by adding $4 million per season for the final 10 years, right? Upping the total of the contract to a potential $805 million. Holy cow, almost at $1 billion. Soto will also be provided with hotel suites on road trips. He also gets 4 premium seats behind home plate will also be available to Soto for each home game. Soto will be provided with personal security for him and his family at all games, including spring training. Holy cow. And to close it off, Soto is entitled to the following potential bonuses. Yeah, he definitely needs more bonuses, needs more money, needs more incentive to play just a beautiful game of baseball. If he wins an MVP, he gets $500,000 the first one and $1 million each subsequent win. It should be noted that Soto has not won an MVP award yet, while his buddy that he left in New York has won 2. He also gets $350,000 for finishing second in voting, and just a measly $150,000 if he comes in third, as he did this past season. He gets an extra $100,000 for his All-Star selection. So if he gets 10 All-Star selections in the next 15 years, you can imagine how much money that is. He gets another $100,000 if he gets a Gold Glove. That's not going to happen unless he cleans up his infield. I'm not really sure why he was a finalist this past year. His defense is very subpar. Saw him make some absolute atrocious plays in the playoffs. So I don't think he's going to get that bonus. But now that $100,000 is on the line, he might actually step up his game, which could be good, which can make him a more well-rounded player, maybe more deserving of $765 million. If he wins a World Series MVP, he gets $350,000. LCS MVP, another $150,000. If he all MLB first or second team, another $100,000. Silver Slugger Award, $150,000. He's won this already 5 times, including the past 2 seasons. And if he wins the Hank Aaron Award, he gets $100,000. Right? Juan Soto stands to make more than $800 million over the next 15 years and be provided with all sorts of additional perks and benefits, and that could even exceed that if that happens. But I don't have that kind of money, obviously, just to give away to anyone. But the real thing is that the Mets have to win at least, 2 World Series for this to mean sort of anything. I don't know, what constitutes this contract being worth it? If they win 2 World Series, what if they only win 1? What if they win 0 in the next 15 years? What if he opts out of his contract? What if he just wants to opt out of his contract so he can get another $4 million a year? What if he doesn't win a single MVP? I guess there's what is everything. So I'm just kind of being a bum about it. But he stands to make more than $800 million to play baseball, and he's not even the most well-rounded 5-tool player in baseball today. Like Bobby Witt Jr., more skills, more tools. Ohtani, obviously, more skills, more tools, and he made more. Both, but cheers to him. He can take care of himself, his family, everyone he fucking knows forever. so cool for him. I mean, I hope it pays out for the Mets. I hope they make it to the playoffs, the World Series, and we see Juan Soto, win his second World Series. Maybe he wins an MVP and he gets all these extra perks and stuff, and that's awesome. And we see over the next 15 years, baseball player would put together one of the greatest offensive careers in the history of baseball. It's never going to be better than Barry Bonds, because Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player that ever lived. But absolutely love to see great players do great things, especially in the playoffs, especially in high-pressure situations. And Soto's proved that he can do that with already winning World Series and being a great player in the playoffs. So I hope that he continues to do that, and that's awesome for baseball. And some other news going forward outside of the Juan Soto, big trade happened, right? Chicago Cubs acquired star outfielder Kyle Tucker in a trade with the Houston Astros. There's a potential between the Cubs and the Marlins are discussing a trade centered around Marlins starter Jesus Luzardo, who's an absolute stud when healthy. So if the Cubs they already added Kyle Tucker, who's one of the most underrated, undervalued baseball players in the world, absolute freaking stud, dominated with the Astros the last few seasons. They get him, they add Luzardo, they could be a potential, be able to knock off the Brewers in the Central moving into next season. And so, and then in terms of Jesus Luzardo, the Cubs outfield prospect Owen Cassie and infielder James Trentanos will likely be included in the exchange, as Miami wants to have a young, controllable bat in return for Luzardo. Again, Chicago has already been active on the trade market for Kyle Tucker in a deal with Houston Astros. And Buster Posey, what a guy, not wasting any time, on making his mark as the new president of baseball operations for the San Francisco Giants. He already won three World Series titles with them as a player, and now he's trying to do it as the president of baseball operations. And he is attempting to sign Corbin Burns, right? They lost Blake Snell. Corbin Burns is the next best starting pitcher available with Max Fried off the market, Blake Snell off the market. And he wants to bring him to the Bay Area. The San Francisco Giants could potentially have Burns and Logan Webb at the top of their rotation going into 2025 if they successfully acquire this ace. And they need that if they want to have any chance at all of competing with the Padres and the Dodgers. They already signed Willie Adames. Getting Corbin Burns would be incredible, especially if they have that 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. I mean, Corbin Burns is an absolute professional, as consistent as it gets when it comes to being an ace, and Logan Webb is a stud. And so that would be huge for the San Francisco Giants, and they're able to compete with the Dodgers and the Padres. And then, according to other sources, you have a free agent, righty Jake Flattery is one fallback option for the Orioles if, as expected, they don't re-sign Corbin Burns. So the Orioles lose Corbin Burns, and then they try and go re-sign Jake Flattery, who's not nearly as good as Corbin Burns, but could do the job inside of that rotation, help them sort of fill that missing role. The deal isn't finalized yet as of I'm speaking right now, but it looks like Cody Bellinger will go to the Yankees. They're making some moves. The Yankees also acquired closer Devin Williams from the Milwaukee Brewers. Left-handed starter Nestor Cortez is among the players headed to Milwaukee in a trade that sent Devin Williams to the Yankees. And listen to this, listen to these numbers. Since his debut in 2019, here are Devin Williams' ranks among relievers with at least 200 innings pitched. He's second in ERA. He's fourth in strikeouts per 9 innings. He's sixth in home runs per 9 innings, and he's first in hits per 9 innings. So, like, wow, he's truly one of the elite relievers in baseball. And now he's at the back end of the Yankees bullpen with Weaver, who had an absolutely incredible breakout year in 24. So we'll see what those two guys can do for the Yankees to shore up their bullpen going into the 2025 season, potentially in the playoffs. Do you think, Yankees had one of the best, probably the best closer of all time in Mariano Rivera? Could they have had that now going forward with Devin Williams as their 9th inning guy, Luke Weaver as their 8th inning guy? To get to that, you just need someone for the 6th and the 7th. Now you have basically the second half of the baseball game one moving that direction. And then if you have Fried and Cole pitch into the 5th and the 6th and potentially the 7th inning, then you have a really dynamic roster and rotation that could be hard to contend with. Now they just need offense because they lost Juan Soto. So they need someone to protect Aaron Judge. Potentially that's Cody Bellinger. We'll see what happens as we move forward in baseball free agency. Because the best thing that happened this week, I mean, I gave you all those Yankees things, but the best thing that happened to the Yankees this week was they signed left-hander Max Fried. They agreed to an 8-year, $218 million contract, of course, pending physicals, like always, is the largest guarantee in baseball history for a left-handed pitcher. We're seeing a lot of largest in history when it comes to money for baseball. Like last offseason, we saw Shohei Ohtani. We're like, we'll never see that again. That's the largest in history. Boom, gets broken by $65 million with no deferred money. Just straight up, here is $765 million from the Mets, and that's amazing. And then Max Fried gets a great deal. So what the Yankees pitching rotation potentially is looking like in 2025 is Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rendon, Louis Gill, Clark Schmidt, and Marcus Stroman, with a sharpened bullpen with Devin Williams and Weaver in the back. So again, the Yankees are trying to get back to the World Series. They're trying to win it this year, and they're trying to do it with pitching. Obviously, their defense can't absolutely implode like it did against the Dodgers when they had that lead, potentially push another game 6, I believe it was. But if they have great pitching, they have great bullpen, hitting comes and goes. You need a surefire defense. That's going to win you a lot of baseball games and potentially get you back into the World Series. Because the Dodgers are going again. Like they're trying. Obviously, the Giants are trying to give it a run for their money. The Brewers, all these people who've got great teams. The Cubs are acquiring some people. But the Dodgers are still the best team in baseball. The Yankees made it there last year. Like potentially could see a rematch because those are the two biggest market teams. And it's great for ratings. It's great for baseball. You love to see the best players in the world get. Now, obviously, the Mets are hoping they make it there and beat the Dodgers, but they haven't done much. They signed a couple pitchers. Obviously, they signed Juan Soto, but he's just one player. a whole team, right? He only gets hit 3 or 4 times a game. He doesn't pitch. He doesn't play defense. Like, so there's a lot of other moving pieces that have to go right. The Mets to overtake some of these other teams that are coming for them, especially to make the national championship. That's going to be the Dodgers most likely, or the Padres, probably better than them. And so it's just very interesting to see what's going to shake out as we move towards actual baseball season. And then big signing here for us in the home state of Texas. Right-hander Nathan Eovaldi and the Texas Rangers are in agreement for a 3-year, $75 million contract. He's considered one of the top mid-tier free agents in terms of Texas. Absolutely massive, huge in our World Series win a couple years ago. So we love Nathan Eovaldi here in Texas. We're glad he's going to be a Ranger for a little while. And potentially we'll sign that Japanese pitcher. There's some things happening. But Rangers, let's go. Got to make a comeback this year. Got to make it back there. Seager, Semien, we're waiting. We're ready. Let's go. Let's get another World Series. So that's I think that's what I got for MLB stuff this season, or this episode, excuse me. Talk to NFL, talk college football, talk to Caitlin Clark. Great. Let's move into my favorite subject, WWE, professional wrestling. Last night, December 14th, 2024, was Saturday night's main event, which is a Saturday night's main event. It's what they used to do back in the day. And then they brought it back Saturday, December 14th, 2024, live on NBC. It was a great show. It was a great show. Nothing unbelievable happened except at the very end of the show. But it set up a lot of cool stuff moving into Royal Rumble season, moving into Elimination Chamber, and eventually moving into WrestleMania season. So it's kicking off some big-time feuds. There was no real surprises. We haven't seen John Cena or The Rock or Randy Orton or Charlotte Flair return yet, which I'm assuming we'll see soon because they have this massive show on January 6th when they kick off their Netflix run. So we're going to see a lot of surprises, big-time matchups there. You can almost consider that a premium live event. Like, this was on NBC and also on Peacock, but they had big-time matches, big stars, fast-paced. Everything was quick, sharp, to the point. You could potentially see those types of big-time matchups on January 6th. I think we already have Roman Reigns and what's the other guy's name? I forgot his name. Whatever. I love WWE, but I can't remember everyone's name, and I didn't write it down on my sheet in front of me. So it is what it is. So that's a big time matchup for January 6th. Potentially could have some other stuff, some returns, and we don't know what's going to happen with Cody Rhodes now that they got pile driven by Kevin Owens at the end of the show, which was very, very interesting. Pile driver, super dangerous move, very dangerous for your neck. That's why Randy Orton is injured and been out for a couple months. You don't know how Cody Rhodes is going to feel or how he's going to be able to come back from that as soon as that, because January 6th is only a couple weeks away, and you want him to be available for that big show. That's a massive show. So we'll see if he didn't get injured too bad by Kevin Owens. But let's go through I gave the Saturday night's main event like 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great show, very entertaining, but nothing extraordinary. I do think the match of the night was Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, which was the opening match. I mean, just great execution, perfectly done, speed, pacing, intensity, action. Like, Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, obviously some of the best professional wrestlers on the planet. Drew McIntyre, I still think, is an A+ wrestler, but totally underrated. I really do think that. Like, he's almost carried WWE in the COVID era. He's carried WWE for a long time with just having matches over and over again. He doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, and put together an absolute masterpiece with Sami Zayn, who's one of the best baby faces we've ever seen, ever. And they put together a fantastic match. Execution was perfect. Timing was perfect. Drew McIntyre wins with a Claymore kick and a beautiful opening match. The crowd was absolutely on fire. It stayed on fire for another 2 hours. So beautifully executed by those guys. 9 out of 10. Then we have Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. And this was okay match. It felt a little rushed. Like, I guess they wanted to get a lot in a short amount of time given. It was a clean finish. Liv Morgan wins. 7 out of 10. Not much to say about that. Don't know really where the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley rivalry is going to go, but I hope Io Sky, who's probably the best women's wrestler on the planet, I hope she wins the Royal Rumble and faces whoever's champion there, wins at WrestleMania, and holds the title forever. So yeah, that's what I think about that. And then match number 3, a couple of my favorite wrestlers, Gunther, Damian Priest, Finn Balor. I absolutely love Gunther. I absolutely love Damian Priest. pleasure to work with them, wrestle with them, train with them while I was a professional wrestler on the independents. And you just can't have a bad match with these three guys. Like, you just can't. It's impossible. Even if they had their eyes closed and they didn't know what was happening, they'd still find a way for their bodies to put together a great professional wrestling match. There was a lot of intensity, as you expect, great pacing, great timing. All sorts of things were incredible in this match. Finn Balor was sort of the little speed guy in this match. I mean, Priest, Gunther, like 6'4", 6'5", 6'3". Finn Balor's like 5'11". My wife was watching with me last night. She was like, "Oh, that's very little compared to the other one." But Finn Balor obviously been one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet for a long time. I think Gunther is right now currently the best wrestler on the planet. He has it all. Gets done. Damian Priest not far behind. But this match wasn't as good as the opening match. It just wasn't. I did like the finish of this match when Priest got absolutely power slammed on the steps. And then Gunther came in, drop kick, power bomb finish. Great. Love it. Absolutely. He looks as confident. The storyline's been that he's like a little confident. He's waving in his confidence. I think he gets back here in this match. Looks dominant. Was flowing well. Did some really powerful, strong moves. Cement his legacy as the champion that he is, trying to hold that belt for forever, and potentially leading into a feud with John Cena going into WrestleMania, which would be really cool. Hopefully he beats John Cena at WrestleMania, and we don't get to see that 17th title run at WrestleMania, but potentially later on, because you want Gunther to have that star-making moment, which I really think could happen if he beats the shit out of John Cena at WrestleMania. And then maybe John wins it like SummerSlam, because John Cena having the 17th world title and beating Ric Flair would be cool, because I think John Cena's best WWE performer ever. Just longevity, time. Roman Reigns is coming up there. You know, we have some other names that are pretty good, Shawn Michaels, things like that. But I think it's John who takes that crown. So I give that match 8 out of 10. And then we moved into match number 4, which is Chelsea Green versus Michin. Chelsea Green's cool as shit. She's so cool. She just has a great feel, great energy, great connection, organic connection with the crowd. She's basically done whatever WWE has asked her and organically transformed herself into a must-see character. She's amazing. So this was a right choice here to have her become the first ever Women's United States Champion. I hope she holds it for a long time. Does some great, entertaining, great stuff with it. Also has some great defenses and title matches with it. But like an amazing choice here with Chelsea Green as one of the most over and like organically good characters in WWE right now. So cheers to Chelsea Green and all the work she's put in leading up to that special moment. And then you have the main event. A lot of heat and intensity heading into this main event. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Cody Rhodes being the champion. Pretty good main event. Like that wasn't. I knew when there was only about 12 minutes left until they went off air that this wasn't going to be the culmination of the story. This is just a start. This is just a little start of the story between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And you can tell by that because of the little stuff that happened at the end with Cody using the chair, Kevin Owens losing because of the chair. Cody Rhodes is supposed to be this really good guy. Kevin Owens is supposed to be this dastardly bad guy. It sort of just ended anticlimactic. Cody wins, show's over. But you know there was going to be more stuff happen because this feud is just starting to get going, because this is where Kevin Owens is absolutely at his best. So you have this long-term emotional storytelling when it comes to, I think the show should have ended with the stuff that happened after the show. Yes, we all saw it on social and recorded on their phones. And that's a tactic that WWE is trying to use now to make it feel as organic, as real as possible. Like, we didn't know this was going to happen. So the show was over, and then it got recorded on the phone. So you saw that the initial start of this feud, Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes, got caught on a fan cam. And the same thing happened last night. But I really think the show should have ended with us seeing it live, because it was such good, long-term emotional storytelling. So Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes are just great storytellers. That's why they're on top of the world, on top of their game. And Kevin Owens unhinged is like the best Kevin Owens. We saw that first off NXT when he was dominating. Now he's a little unhinged and using absolutely viciousness, tenacity, his personality to get in between those nooks and crannies. And sort of the flip-flop of roles on a human level has been really refreshing to see. Cody is the babyface or the good guy in the eyes of the public, and Kevin Owens is the bad guy here. But on a human level, like, Kevin Owens might be the babyface, and Cody has done some very, heelish things to get by and find his place as champion, as you could see by using the chair last night to retain his title. And then Kevin Owens stealing the winged eagle, having him parade around as the uncrowned WWE champion with the most iconic belt potentially in the sport's history, while Cody is like dying from the effects of that pile driver, is great TV, right? We know that Kevin Owens already injured Randy Orton with a pile driver, and now he is potentially injured Cody Rhodes with a package pile driver. Okay, is he going to be able, like I said, is he going to be able to make the January 6th show, which is one of the biggest shows of the year when we kick off on Netflix? So I think could be heading into either that show if Cody Rhodes can make it if it's not too injured, or at the Royal Rumble where we see, both championships hanging from the ring above as Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes compete in a ladder match. Potentially could be the culmination of this story. I think the Royal Rumble makes most sense, but I also like to see Cody Rhodes wrestle on January 6th. So I just don't know where they want to take that story. Where we're going to see Randy Orton return. I think we see Randy Orton return January 6th, potentially doing something with Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens. Just, Cody Rhodes left on a stretcher last night because of the effects of the pile driver. So you don't know how he's going to be feeling or how long they want to hold that off. Then, you saw Kevin Owens and Triple H get into a little altercation with Triple H involved here, all in the fan cam, which again is cool because that's sort of the nature of what's happening now that everyone has a phone, everyone has a camera, and everyone can record all these things. But I still think the actual show on NBC or Peacock should end with that pile driver, and should have seen that. So they could have shortened the match up a little bit because that really wasn't the important part. Again, the match was short, sort of what it was, because it was just a teaser, just to create long storytelling for what's ahead, for the pile driver, for the potential ladder match, for Royal Rumble, for all these things that's going to reach the culmination of this massive feud and whoever's going to come out on top as the champion. But again, WWE is a master of storytelling. That's why they're the number one wrestling program in the world. They've been that way for a while, and that's why I think wrestling has gotten a new life. People want to see the sort of real storytelling that's mirroring potentially real life. It mirrors potentially real life because we all have sort of evil and bad tendencies. What do we do to control them? What are we willing to do to get the thing we want most in life? All of that stuff is just a reflection of how human nature. That's what WWE is. That's what great storytelling is. It's narrative about reflections of human nature. I think that's the coolest part about professional wrestling and why it draws so many people in. So that was a good show. Saturday night's main event, again, like 7.5 out of 10, with the best stuff happening. That Chelsea Green won the United States Championship, first ever woman. An amazing opening match. Gunther retains, Liv Morgan retains, and the really cool stuff happened after the show that's building this massive hot feud between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. So cheers. I think that's all I got for you this week. Again, this show is sponsored by my sports performance brand, Champions Adjust. So go to champsadjust.com for all your needs. We got apparel, we got podcasts, and we got mindset programs. So check it all out. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you guys next. Cheers. Lots of love.